The extracurricular and cultural support that the school needed at that time, while the men deliberated until 12 p.m. and past that about the future of the finances of the school. The good news is I am understanding now that the women are running the show, both on the sisterhood or auxiliary level and also at the board. Kol hakavod to the women of the Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis. My dear students, I'm telling you this because 40 is a very auspicious time. After 40 years in the desert, and you saw desert when you toured Israel, after 40 years of desert existence, they come in, crossing the Jordan, they come into Israel, and for the first time, they're given the challenge of not expecting manna from heaven. They used up their supply, they had to harvest, they had to plant. Some people say avur ha'aretz, what they ate after the manna stopped falling, was aged grain. Others, and I'm one of them, feel that they had to go out and do the work and not depend on Daddy to fork it over, Big Daddy upstairs. I'd like to talk about the two daddies of the Hebrew Academy here in Indianapolis, who, by the name Hasten, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a Hebrew lesson. May I do that, grade 8, even though you're off duty on a Sunday? I understand that. But if you just listen up a little bit, this is an important lesson for you. And as a teacher, as much as a principal or administrator, I feel compelled to tell you that you've got to look very carefully at words. It'll be a lifesaver when you take your LSATs and MCATs and every other kind of cats that you have to deal with to get into the upper levels of academia and professionality. But the Hasten Hebrew Academy is with an H. Capital H, uppercase, they call it. And it's time now, after 40 years, to take that Hasten, which is a Shem Etzem, and make it into a poa, into a verb, to hasten. Time is a flitting. When you go to university in 4 or 5 years from now, you will find out, my dear 8th graders, that it's a different world than your parents went through. I spent the last 9 years in Hong Kong, and it's really fortuitous that I'm here tonight because when the school was dedicated, there was a certain Marvin Mitchell that was very good with one-liners. Is he here in the audience tonight? Okay, Marvin, let me just remind you what you said. At the dedication, Jan Pearson and all the other famous guys that showed up. Godzilla, King Kong, Edwin Epstein. Okay? It was a Karnak thing from the Johnny Carson. Most of you were not born when Johnny Carson finally went off the air. But it was 2 creatures and a teacher. The good news is Marvin had the foresight to understand that Godzilla, the word God in his name, was a holy God. Hong Kong didn't quite make it in terms, or I should say King Kong didn't make it, but Hong Kong did, and I spent 9 years in Hong Kong, and I know what work ethic is, and I know what perseverance is, and I know that China, I'm sorry to have to bring that news to you this evening, is the #1 economy in the world today. And please, those of you who are buying bar mitzvah, fill in for your students, your sons. Be careful to watch the label, because if it says made in China, you're in deep trouble. So here I am, and I'm telling you, 8th graders, that it's rough out there. It's rough out there academically because Asia has been a major force in raising the bar. More importantly, the work ethic, and more importantly, the challenge of academia today. My dream is that when I come, if I'm able to come back for the 50th anniversary, it will be a K through 12 through train of the Hasten Hebrew Academy, and that you will be so prepared for university, not only because of academia, you will be prepared for a bigger challenge, perhaps, because it is tragic to learn and to feel the pain in parents and in Jewish community when Jewish students on campus take up causes for Arab terrorism and even worse, sympathize with whether there should be a partitioned Israel or whether the international city should ever come to be of Jerusalem. And the Jewish students, without any background and any knowledge, any sensitivity, any feeling for their heritage, stand juxtaposed with perhaps the Christian community who says Jerusalem is the holy city and can never be divided. Obama today and the AIPAC, but I'm getting the feeling that the world is waking up, even the non-Jewish world, to the importance of valuing the ancient and modern contributions of a united and undivided Jerusalem. So as they say in here, that's a very famous saying in here, I want to just spend a little bit of time, 8th graders, you're still with me. Okay, this is going to wrap up in 2 or 3 minutes, I hope. As you understand now that we're getting away from capital H and hasten to small little lowercase hasten, to do your jobs, to understand that what you experience in Israel is crucial, that you take up the cause, and when you get on the college campus, you set them straight because of your attachment to Israel, to its heritage, to its language, to its people, and most important, to the Holy Book, which emanates from Israel. So in closing, I just want to tell Mark and Hart and their lovely wives, because HHAI is not just from Tyler, Texas. It's the gift shop of Anna Ruth that had the famous apron, and it was HHAI or HHAI, depending on your accent. And Simona driving from the east side to make sure that tuna casserole on Tuesday happened, because that would have been the end of the school if Mary Brown didn't have the tuna casserole, which, oh, you remember that casserole. That kept the kids going for at least a good 8 to 10 years. Naftali Hertz, the famous Israeli Doar postal system, has a picture of a gazelle dancing or prancing over all obstacles, the Ayalat Shlucha. Depending on how you translate it, I like to look at the word Shlucha as driven by a mission. And besides being the official first bus driver in the history of the Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis, the Ayalat Shlucha, Hart and I went through difficult times, to the point of the world's foremost halachic expert endorsing the school's stance of being a community school and not, chas v'sholem, depriving kids on all sides of the spectrum from a Jewish education. And my dear friend, fashioner and patenter of bugles and Pringles, let me tell you that those slide rule skills that you had at General Mills, you were not aware of the fact, Imein Kemach Ein Torah. The General Mills were the mills of the flour of Torah of this community. And whether it was bugles or Pringles, the fact is that that slide rule was used to help fashion that building next door, which is called, is it 6602? Yes? Is that the address?
Yes.
Okay, I'm about it. 2511261? Okay, something's stay embedded in your life forever. So thank you, the dear patrons and their wives, the founders. May your Yudchet Iyar turn to be Chai, to be a lifetime achievement that you can take with you. And Baruch Hashem, I look at your kids. I live down the street from Josh in Israel, in Shtachim, which some people still have the hang-up of calling the occupied territories. The last time anything was occupied was on my flight here from Israel. And that was another story that we don't want to talk about. So, Im Tirtzeh Ein Zo Agada, that was banged into my head from the moment I got off the plane from Vancouver to land here in Indianapolis. I have no great plans for the future. I've been offered a position in Antarctica. The possibilities of Tashlich are non-existent. And furthermore, I understand that they have an overload of teaching staff to begin with, because those guys in black with the white shirts called penguins are doing a good job. Lama Nigara, why should we be deprived? 8th grade, please take that question with you all the way through your high school career, your college career, and as you choose your mates. And remember, in closing, be very, very careful how you treat your parents. And more importantly, my dear parents, be very, very careful how you treat your kids, because they will determine your ultimate destiny in a nursing home. Thank you very much, and lots of